Hi guys. Welcome back. It's kind of an exciting video for me because we have technically, unless there's more books, technically have finished our journey of Hunger Games and all the related um books in this series. So I finished Sunrise of the Reaping Friday. I'm filming this on a Monday. So I've had a little bit of time to sit with it and figure out, I guess, like, the major question everybody's been asking is, did we need this book? Now, there's some things I would say yes. Like, it really did add to the story. We got a little bit more of an understanding of Haymitch, why he's the way he is with Katniss in like the first movie book. If I didn't get that, I think we could have probably contexted it together based off of what we find out in the second book. So I guess it's not, do we need this book, but what is the message that Suzanne Collins is trying to say? And I think it's more of, it's that shared PTSD experience of war, and by the end of, Mockingjay, it had, like, they had this, like, mutual understanding, and now we, as readers, get that mutual understanding that they have, not just because we know that Haymitch was in the games, but we know other things about what happened to Haymitch and stuff like that. I'm gonna do light spoilers for this book. I'm not gonna go too heavy with the spoilers. Obviously, as readers, if you know anything about the Hunger Games, you know Haymitch is in the original trilogy. So you know Haymitch wins these games. So that's not really a spoiler unless you're really going into this blind, which I am so sorry. But that's gonna be like, I'm gonna assume that if you're watching this, you've probably experienced the original trilogy. So just kind of be aware. I There was things in this novel that, of course, saddened me, heartbroke me. It wasn't until the very last 30 pages of this book is when I started bawling my eyes out. I felt like the games were way too fast. And I've been watching a lot of people with their videos and stuff, and everybody's been saying that. The games were too fast. And I think there was a reason for that. One, maybe she's getting tired of writing these games and she's like, well, I just want to get to the juicy stuff. I don't think that's the case. I think with every novel, she's trying to convey something to her audience. So in this one, this is more of, how does rebellion and rebelling against the government affect somebody? You have Haymitch and everything he does. You have, what is his name? Baymet? His son ends up in the games because he rebels against the government. Like, you have that kind of cycle of punishment, and Katniss kind of goes through a similar thing. And obviously we're just seeing kind of worse and worse that Snow gets. Like, Snow is definitely still very much a villain. I think he's very similar in this, by this point, like he is in the original trilogy. Like, I don't think, like, I hate to say Songbirds and Snakes really did not improve his character, because I had a whole video talking about, like, him as a character based off of that, but it's just, and I feel like something happens in the middle, because we have things that I still feel like are not explained. Like, there's character stories that are just not explained that might make Snow a better character, might give him some more layers. At this point, like, if I was just to read this and then the original trilogy and Norse Songbirds and Snakes, he doesn't have layers. Is he a good villain, even though he doesn't? I believe so. I believe Snow is actually a really good villain when it comes to this series. Like, he does villainous things. He sometimes has a heart. Like, there's a scene in Mockingjay, I'm going to spoil a little bit, where Katniss, Katniss's sister just got obliterated, and he does say sorry to her. So and it wasn't because of him. And that was the thing that I think when it's not him doing the evil deeds, he actually feels sorry and remorse for things that happen, which is a very weird thing. But it's just, that's the thing with him. And then it's like, he just doesn't like anybody, like, figuring out his game. And it just seems like Haymitch and Katniss are, like, above. Like, they figure it out really quickly. So that's kind of my thing. Is don't expect going into this book that you're gonna see anything added to, like, the games or anything like that. You're seeing a very similar game to what Katniss went through. There's, like, actually a couple of scenes that, like, you have the poisonous berries and stuff like that. So don't expect going into this, like, thinking that's what you're signing up for. Like, what really shocked me is, so there's 40, sorry guys, I'm trying to, there's 48 contestants in this. And I think, like, the first, so they get to where the weapons are, the Cornucopia. They get to the Cornucopia, and literally a couple of sentences later, it's like, oh, we're down 24 people already. So I'm like, okay. So that's something that, I don't know. I felt like the games were too fast. But I didn't want her to slow it down either, because that was something that I found in the Hunger Games that really slowed it down, was the actual games itself. Like, getting to know Katniss, getting to know Peeta, going through the interview process the first time. I would have loved to have read these books, like, when they first came out. Sorry, guys. When they first came out, and, like, really got to go through that shock of what happened, because I saw in the movies, like, basically when I read the books, so, like, I had a pretty good idea what was going on. Like, this is my first book. I think I didn't see the movie before, because the movie's not out yet. So, I mean, that is kind of something, like, we have to think about a little bit, is, like, and I have to think about a little bit, is, like, the surprise factor. Surprise factor didn't come until, like, the very end of this book. So, you get back to Haymitch's, place, And like that, what goes down like in the last, I would like to say 30, 45 pages, that's what you're reading this for. Like, you could be reading it for like how did Haymitch get into the games, which was really interesting. That was kind of interesting. Like, they just like were starting to shoot their guns like all over the place. Sorry guys for the yawning. And that to me was pretty extreme for what was going on. They really just needed to hunt the one guy down. And decide, but then they started a whole riot and it became a problem. So that was interesting, but by the time we got to the Capitol and started doing all the game stuff, yes, you have the one girl falling off the chariot and stuff, but overall it's pretty much same old if you've read these books. Like you kind of, you could, there's a formula to them. Sorry guys. There's a formula to them. And I think this was the most formula driven one, where it's like everything that was probably about the games, like we could have cut out, and she could have shortened this by a lot. Now, the other thing that I liked that she added was his relationship with Effie. And that to me wasn't really well explained in the movies. Like, sorry. So that's something that I fell in love with their relationship. Now, if it's like a friendship or if it's a little bit more, that wasn't really answered in there, and it wasn't really answered in the last movie, which is Mockingjay. So, but what that character does is it shows that there's still good in the Capitol. And that's kind of what I think she wanted to really show with, is that they're so brainwashed in the Capitol. Like, they really think these Hunger Games need to happen. Like, it's not that they're evil, it's that they're so brainwashed that they think that this needs to happen, and they need to do the Hunger Games so they can keep all the districts in line. Sorry about that. But, and I don't, in a lot of ways, obviously, if they did have any victors from District 1, District 2, obviously those people are really going to understand what the games are like. There's one thing to, like, watch something on television and be like, oh, that doesn't look as bad, or I could have survived that, or whatever, and to actually survive it and put yourself, sorry guys, and put yourself kind of in their shoes, where it's like, oh, like, you're having to watch your best friends die. And maybe not your friends, but like, you get to, what they really show in this one, which I don't think they really showed in the original, is how close some of these people really get with one another. Like, deep down, you're gonna have to probably kill that person that you've gotten really close to. And that's the psychological damage in this book. But that's not, I'm gonna spoil the ending. So um, if you've read the book and everything, stay further than the 15-minute mark. If you have not finished reading, have fun. See you in the next video. The next video is probably going to be me just going through kind of my overall feelings about the Hunger Games. So you can join me in that video. But yeah, if you don't want this book spoiled for you and what the ending is, goodbye. Thank you for coming. It was really great to see you, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're in major spoiler territory now, guys. Okay. So if you are sitting here, you've read the book, we can all discuss our trauma. So Haymitch finally gets home, and he finds that his family was burnt in a fire. And then he gives Lenore Dove the candies that are poisonous, and then she dies. Now, I don't know if Suzanne Collins was like, how much she was like expecting people to understand the reference of Lenore Dove and the name. It is a reference to the Raven, which she does at the end really, really push. Lenore is the girl that dies in the Raven. And so the name probably kind of more translates to either loss of peace or death of peace. So when Lenore dies, he loses his peace that he had, even though she is complete chaos. But that's where I kind of, if you're talking about symbolism of who she probably is, I could have probably told you she was going to die, and I wouldn't even have to tell you that because she's not in the original trilogy. I saw a review like that was like, well, she's not in the original trilogy, like we knew she was gonna die. Not necessarily. Like, she could have died later on. She could have gotten over Haymitch. Like, stuff could have happened. Her dying the way she did was horrific. And then him being haunted by her was pretty bad. So that was like my whole thing. Like, he's haunted by like his loss of peace. And that was really well done. I think using a source like that is kind of tricky in a way, because sometimes I felt like they were kind of overusing it at the end. Like, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, he's the man from the poem, and he's being haunted by the person that he loves, and then he keeps hearing that knock, knock on my chamber door. Okay, I get it. It still killed me, but I get it. So that was a little risky, especially if you are like a major fan. That could have told you right away what would happen to her. And the whole sad thing is, it's like, it's because she didn't eat anything. Like, and I think that was the thing that really drilled it into me, is like, she would have survived if she lived in another district. But because she lived in District 12, like, she ate the candies and then she couldn't throw it up because, like, she didn't have anything to throw up. So, like, that's the more tragic part. Obviously her, eating poison candies wasn't great. But it's just, Yeah, it just, it really pushed it home to me, like, how much Snow doesn't like losing. Like, he's just a bad loser. And if you look at him that way, he's kind of a joke. Like, he kind of really is a joke. And I'm like, if that was like my whole thing of why I'm going after these 2 District 12 people, I mean 3, but I don't want to really talk about Sunburn and Snakes in this video. Like, it's just like, you're just a bad loser. Like, and it's kind of comical if you, like, really think about it. It's like, if you break it down like that, it just feels like Snow's just a really, really bad loser. um, yeah, but I did cry at the end. The games didn't get me at all. I think this is going to be a really good movie, games. Like, I think seeing everything, and if they get really good actors and people that you get attached to and stuff like that, I think the games are going to hit a lot harder in the movie than they did in the book. That's something I have to say about that. Now, I don't know what it would have been like if she wrote Sunbird and Snakes, this, and then the trilogy. Obviously we don't live in that world. That would be an interesting world to live in, and I'm going to talk probably more about that when I look at the overall story in another video. But in this one, I'm just, because part of me is like, if we did not know who won, would it be, I think I said this, I feel like I said this in one of my videos. If I haven't, then it's a new concept, so thanks. She writes the book where you know who's going to win. Like, you knew Katniss was going to win. Now, did we know that Peeta was going to win in the Hunger Games? That was up in the air. And I felt like that was a Katniss choice at the end. I think if they didn't just change the rules in like 2 seconds, like, it could have been a different ending for the Hunger Games. But if we're looking at it as, this is a very much fan service book. Like, you have cameos from all the characters that we've learned to love from Catching Fire mostly, and, you know, the original series, and some of the parents of, like, Katniss and Peter and this and stuff like that. But this is more for the fans. I saw Songbird and Snakes is, I think she did kind of, in some ways, want to kind of explore that character. This, I think she was, and I think I've seen a couple people talk about this, is this is for the fans. She knew that everybody wanted Haymitch's story. Do we want Snows? No! There's no world that I think anybody could be sympathetic after reading all these books to Snow. Even though, like, if you read them in whatever order, like, if you've read every single book or seen the movies and then read this book, like, we have a full idea of the torture that he's caused a whole bunch of people. Like, he's killed so many people. And, like, kids. And then, you know, he's not innocent in, you know, Haymitch's family. Like, we know that he was involved. Like, we know he was involved in District 12 in the second to third movie. Like, and then, you know, he's involved in 8 and everything that happens there. So it's like, we cannot forgive him. I don't care, like, how much of a sympathetic story you give that guy, like, based off of everything else we get to see when he's a, like, 70, 80-year-old, like, it just is not forgivable at the end of it all. And she's probably, you know, there's a message there, but at the same time, when he was in Songbirds and Snakes, he was a child. He was a child with children, teaching children how to fight children to survive. Like, yeah, that's going to mess somebody up. And he does make the games better, but it's for the idea of this level of entertainment, because he's like, well, this is boring because they don't have, like, food in their stomachs, and half of them are dying even before they get to their arena. This is boring, so let's make it interesting. So is he actually trying, even at that point, is he really sympathetic? Or is he trying it for the entertainment value? Because he knows if he comes up with the best idea and his victor, you know, his you know, Lucy Gray wins, then he gets the money to have his scholarship. And that's all he cares about. It would be... because you can read that movie in a couple different ways, in the book in a couple different ways, but at the same time, it's like I read these other 4 books, and I'm like, I can't be sympathetic. Now, if you started me off on that book, and I knew, and then I could take, like, maybe excuse some of the behavior. I hardly doubt it. Like... but, I would say I'm going to give this about a 4-star. I really did enjoy it. I think it was kind of back to the original Hunger Games, which I kind of liked. I like Haymitch as a character. I liked, what she did with, you know, some of the other characters, with their motivation, and why Catching Fire happens the way it happens. But anyway, like and subscribe if you got this far. And I will see you in a video actually coming real soon. I'm gonna just do an over, like, how I feel about the Hunger Games, how I felt about this journey video pretty soon here. I'm trying to get all my Hunger Games videos kind of in this month, so you might see some weeks that have more than my 2 normal videos. Don't get used to it. I wish I could do 3 videos a week for you guys, but I work full time and I haven't really been reading that much, so yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how things go. If I get the reading bug, there's going to be more videos. So, like and subscribe, and I will see you in a video coming real soon. Bye!